So welcome to Mindful on Wall Street. This is Alice Kim from Morgan Stanley. Mindful on Wall Street is a grassroots collaboration of mindfulness champions across the financial services industry, and we seek to amplify the reach of mindfulness within our own respective and peer institutions to help empower our colleagues and peers to reach their highest potential, both individually and collectively. For the benefit of those joining for the first time, what is mindfulness? And in simplest terms, it is paying attention on purpose to the present moment, non-judgmentally. So watching, observing, and sensing and being super interested and curious in what is happening right now in this moment. Another definition I love is from Dr. Ellen Langer, a social psychologist who performed some of the earlier studies on mindfulness in the 70s. And she describes mindfulness as a simple practice of actively noticing new things. So when you actively notice new things, it puts you in the present, your mind is engaged, and it gives you the ability to come into every situation with a wide open mind. And she talks about how when you think that you fully know something, you hold it as a known and you stop paying attention to it. And I think many of us over the past few weeks have been actively watching and reflecting and learning and mourning as we observe the conflict that has been very polarizing, to say the least. And perhaps now mindfulness and compassion practices are more important than ever to lean on, as it helps cultivate our inner capacity to be present with all the strong perspectives and feelings and ideas around what's going on in a more open and compassionate and understanding way. So this week, I wanted to bring our attention to the idea of cognitive flexibility. So cognitive flexibility is the ability to not only be aware of a variety of concepts and factors in any given situation, but the ability to perceive multiple perspectives and the ability and ultimately the willingness to perhaps adapt your own perspective and to change. And people that possess cognitive flexibility have been seen to be able to acquire and integrate new information rapidly, solve problems creatively, and essentially inhibit autopilot behavior. And studies have shown that a regular mindfulness practice increases cognitive flexibility, or put it another way, decreases cognitive rigidity. And it has also been specifically shown to decrease implicit biases. So when you're practicing mindfulness, you're actively noticing how sensation moves through the body, how your breath changes. You're noticing the nature of your thoughts. You're noticing the fluctuations of the mind, even the fluctuation of emotions. If you joined us last month, we kind of went through that as the basic fundamentals of mindfulness. And the most important thing when you're noticing all these factors is bringing this non-judgmental awareness to simply be with what is. So suspending your quick opinion and creating as spacious of an awareness as possible. And you're practicing the muscle of present moment awareness, which is a skill that can be honed via a regular practice and hopefully will allow you to bring kind of a deeper and easier presence into your day to day. So with that intro, we'll begin. So as we do, we'll start with some body awareness, some gentle breath awareness to just ground ourselves into the here and now. And then we'll practice kind of this non-judgmental awareness with a cognitive reframing exercise of looking into a difficult situation with a more open and present and flexible mind. And this can be any difficult situation. It could be, what's happening in the world right now, but it could be much more personal. It could be a specific relationship. It could be a specific work situation, anything that you feel that is, bringing a bit of conflict, but perhaps not so big that it will cause too much distress, but just something that we can perhaps play with and work with in the container that we have, until 5:30 Eastern. So kind of call it the next 20 minutes. So the first thing that comes to mind is perfect. Now that you have that, we will sit together in a relaxed position, and my feet are a little bit dangly right now, so I'm going to lower my seat a little bit so that my feet are on the floor. I'm grounded on my two sit bones. My feet are planted on the floor. I have the back support of my chair, and the 33 vertebrae of the spine are stacked tall and long and even. And if you want to join me in closing the eyes or lowering the gaze to bring your attention from the external world around you to your internal space. Just the first small step of coming inward. And decreasing the level of stimulation. And with your eyes closed, engage your peripheral vision. So feel the eyes settle back into the eye sockets and go wide and low and soft. So often our eyes are very penetrative throughout the day, so we're just letting our eyeballs rest in the eye sockets. And swallow, feeling that sensation as low as it will go. Just starting to cue our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. And start to kind of slow the breath. And relax the body. And starting to feel the weight of the head heavy and relaxed into the neck, supported by each vertebrae of the spine, supported by our pelvis, our seat, sensing the legs cascading from our pelvis and into our feet that are planted on the floor. Just starting to feel the structure of the bones that are supporting us. This infrastructure of support that is factually here for you in the body. Just complete safety in the body here and now. And drawing your attention to the tissue of the belly, where the rib cage ends and before the pelvis and hip bone begin. All of the belly tissue that houses your vital organs. And as you breathe, let it inflate on the inhale. And then let it gently soften on the exhale. So attention on a deep belly breath, a diaphragmatic breath. So your shoulders, chest, and jaw are relatively still, and you are inflating your belly with an inhale through the nose, and a soft exhale of belly back to spine, out the nose. Just deep, long inhales and deep, long exhales. Noticing the beginning, middle, end of the inhale. Noticing that pause at the top. Noticing the soft release of the exhale Noticing the skin softening. You want the breath long enough that it holds your attention, but not so long that it brings tension. So imagine when you exhale, your mind falls down deep into your navel, like when temperature falls in those old thermometers. Encouraging that deep, low, and wide belly breath. And start to gently relax the breath into your natural breath and simply feel the sensation of breath that you're currently on. So the way lungs push into clothing on the in-breath, the way the skin softens in the out-breath, the exchange of temperature, a little cooler on the inhale through the nose, a little warmer on the exhale. Just one breath felt fully notice. Should interrupt whatever thought you're on, if even for a mere moment. Your breath is always a friendly hand to guide you back to now, the moment that you're in. Just practicing presence, being in the moment that you're in, being in the place that you are. If your mind wanders, as it does, just non-judgmentally feel the sensation of the breath that you're currently on. Noticing where you are, allowing the breath to help you return. You can gently let that breath awareness go and start to draw your attention to the difficult situation that you've recently had to deal with. It could be macro or it could be micro and very personal. Again, first thing that comes to mind is perfect. Hold that situation in your mind's eye for a moment and noticing your thoughts and emotions around the situation. Just without judgment, just noticing what thoughts may just pop up or emotions may pop up, or maybe some physical sensations, whether it be tightness, whether it be a little bit of swirling in your stomach, just noticing kind of with your senses, non-judgmentally, if there are any sensations or thoughts or emotions associated with the situation. Just being very gentle and allowing every thought or emotion to come through just as it is. Just keeping a mindset of curiosity rather than judgment. So rather than, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that thought or I shouldn't be feeling these emotions, just, like just observing the thought or, I'm noticing the emotion of blank, whatever that may be. Or maybe it's guilt that you don't feel more, but just noticing without judgment, just being very gentle, holding a non-judgmental, safe space for yourself. And after you've had some time to notice your sensations, your thoughts, your emotions around the sensation, the situation, flipping your perspective to perhaps the opposite viewpoint of this difficult situation, someone that may feel completely opposed to you or partially opposed to you, and observing those, that perspective without judgment, kind of like, what could that person or what could those people be feeling or thinking or experiencing? And what could be the root of those thoughts or feelings? Just putting yourself in the other person or other people's shoes. And perhaps thinking a layer deeper into the needs that we share with the person or people holding perhaps the opposing thought. Whether it be the feeling of safety, the feeling of being seen, understood, and heard, the ability to be peaceful inside and outside. See if you, once you go down to this level of need and root of belief and feeling, whether it kind of removes the charge a bit on the difficult situation or opposing viewpoint. It's a challenging exercise, but we're practicing non-judgment. And to close, flood yourself with the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude can be difficult when situations are difficult, and this is not mindless positive thinking, but taking a moment to look at simple, often overlooked things, or places, or people, or aspects that are miracles, moment to moment. So how easily our breath comes as we are in our seats. Gratitude for the safety of our bodies, our bones holding us up. The room that we're in, whether it be in the office or at home, where we're able to practice meditation peacefully. To a healthy mind, the list is endless. So just take an inventory. Of what you have to be grateful. And while it may start off as analytical, let that transmute into something chemical, flooding yourself with the feeling of gratitude. And let it flood into every cell, every corner of the body. Feeling a little bit lighter, a little bit more alive. All together, take a deep inhale in and exhale out. 2 more times, deep inhale in and exhale out. 1 more time, biggest inhale you've taken all day, deep inhale in. And exhale out. When you're ready, you can gently open the eyes. Welcome back. Thank you for going on a more challenging journey with me. Hopefully that was okay. We have just 2 minutes left. If you had any questions or comments, you can either use the raise hand function to speak live, or you can put your question into the Q&A box. I don't see any raised hands. I don't see any questions. Well, with that, thank you so much for joining me this Monday evening and wishing you a great rest of your week.